Welcome in, LSU fans, to another edition of the Go 24/7 podcast. My name is Bryce Koon, and we're joined today by Jared Mitchell. Jared, we appreciate the time, man. Busy time of year, like we just got done talking about, man. But we appreciate you taking some time out of your calendar to talk some important June baseball for the
There you
Tigers.
go. There you go. Yeah, definitely busy time of the year, but it's always good when the Tigers are still playing at this time, right?
Man, we were just talking. Obviously, this late starts, LSU gets the benefit. I know a lot of fans and even some media were kind of excited to see like that 1 p.m. start time. Wanted to ask you before we get started, from a player's perspective, did you prefer playing the later game, or did it really matter to you at this point in the season? You're just like win in advance.
I'll be honest with you, like for them at this point in their career, I think they've got enough mixed bag of day games and night games to where it really doesn't matter much. And also, like they're out of school right now, so they're getting a chance
Sure.
to live like the pro ball life as well. I could tell you, like as I got into my professional career, just because you pretty much played only maybe 1 to 2 day games a week, I was a night game guy. Like, just give me the night game because it allowed you to be on what was more of your regular schedule. But for them, I mean, they're going to play. They usually play 1 to 2, possibly day games a weekend right now.
Mhm.
So right, like during the regular season. So I think it shouldn't be that much of a deal for them. But I would imagine they might like the thought of Alex Box on a Saturday night in the postseason, right? Like I
Yeah.
would imagine they would like that. But I would this place is still going to be rocking. Let's tell the truth.
Oh yeah, it's going to be crazy. We were
Yeah.
talking a little bit. It's going to be warm. I don't know if you've seen the weather.
Oh
It's going to be
yeah.
very, very warm on
Oh
Saturday, but
yeah.
it's going to be good indeed. And also too, LSU's schedule's been thrown off so much where they've had to sit in the dugout and wait, sit in the clubhouse and wait. And I think they're kind of game for anything at this point whenever
Yeah.
they can play.
Yep.
Man, just as we kind of enter into the weekend of the Super Regional, I wanted to get some kind of closing the book on some of your thoughts from the regional weekend. Obviously, you go on social media and there's a lot of mixed bag reactions from a lot of passionate fans about kind of what happened. Bottom line, they do advance.
Yeah.
When you look at kind of what happened this past weekend, first off, I've been telling people, Jared, yeah, we can sit here and look at Little Rock's record, and maybe this is a little bit of a biased approach to it. We can look at their record, but for 2+ weeks they haven't been playing like that. They've been playing
No.
like a totally different version. So leaving the weekend, what are some of the kind of big takeaways and anything that could, I guess, help propel this team this weekend?
The thing is like you want to talk about people don't get to the postseason without having at least gone on some kind of a run. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
obvious they were in the middle of their run. They're playing really well at this time of year, bro. You can go around the country. Nobody expected Wright State to basically almost bounce Vanderbilt in 2 straight games, right? And people
Yeah.
forget Vanderbilt was no hit through, I think, 6 or maybe even
Yeah.
7 at that point, right? So like they could have beat them in game 1, and then they ended up beating them again in the next game in an elimination game. So nobody expected that. You didn't expect Murray State to come out of what I thought was probably the toughest regional, but you're not gonna, nobody can sit here and say like I'm putting my money on Murray State. They're the ones coming out of it. Right? It's playoff baseball. You can sit here and say, "Oh, well, those teams are better than this team." Yeah, they might be, but you got to go on a run at some point. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
obvious. They started making their run as soon as they got to the conference tournament. And when you're making your run and you're playing confident baseball, anybody can beat anybody at any
Mm-hmm.
time. That team showed up to Alex Box, took them one game, got thumped right there, and then they started playing well. And that's just what they did. I take it as, especially the championship go winner take all, right? I take that game as I think those kids understood the noise that was going on around them. I
Yeah.
think they understood what the perception of it would be in Baton Rouge if they didn't win that ball game. And
Mm-hmm.
for them to go down 5-1 very early and still fight their way back and do what they did, I think that's a different kind of team, man. Like that would be easy for a team to crumble, knowing that all we got is one guy left, if you want to call it that. And
Yeah.
it's just, bro, winning is all that matters at this point of the year, and they were able to do that. It's called survive and advance. You get a chance to play again because you got to remember, getting a chance to play again means you basically have a weekend series at home.
Yeah.
Getting a weekend series at home means you have a chance to throw Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. That's 2 chances. You only need 2 wins. Those guys both get a chance to pitch this week. So that kind of stuff I think matters, and people got to understand that.
When you talk a little bit about the pitching right there and wanted to get your thoughts and just the job that Case and Evans did, how big was that? Not just in terms of what ended up happening, but just for the psyche in those moments to know as an offense, hey, we're struggling a little bit, but we've got a guy that's continuing to put up zeros. And He was on a run of 9 straight, punch outs. What did that do in terms of when you were watching that, just as a psyche, as an offensive guy yourself, knowing he's just going to keep getting us back into the dugout?
I think that's the biggest part of it, right? Like you get kind of punched in the mouth right there. You go down 5-1, you bring him in, and you're hoping like, all right, in your mind, you're like, all right, we got one of our dudes up here, like we got a chance. Then he goes out and throws up a 0, and then another 0, and then now it's really like, okay, he keeps getting us back in the dugout. Let's go. And so that momentum kind of starts to build. And when you see the door open on the other side and they start giving you opportunities and you start getting runners on, and then they start getting runners in scoring position, the snowball starts to go in your way. And you could tell like with the crowd and everything and how it went. But when you talk about what Case and Evans did, man, I thought, that wasn't his only moment of the season. Obviously, we know that. Like the kid has been special pretty much all year outside of the last 2 starts that he made, right? Like that's the only time we pretty much seen him as like human this year. Yeah. So bringing him in that spot and doing what he did, knowing that like, Jay talked about it yesterday with us where he said we were expecting or hoping we can get 3 or 4 out of him. So I would imagine somewhat of that conversation happened with them behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. He gave you 6. He gave you 6 scoreless. And at one point he struck out 9 straight. That's superhuman stuff, man. And it was impressive to watch him go out there and just compete his butt off. And that's what he did.
LSU leaves the weekend, getting ready for that West Virginia regional. Before we dive into that one, obviously you do some great work there with Mic'd Up and obviously with the SEC Network too. I wanted to know, as you get ready to head back to Charlotte for some more coverage, been a lot of fanfare on social media about the, I guess, disappointing weekend that people are talking about for the SEC in general. LSU doesn't have to worry about it. They're moving on. What's your take on this whole thing? Because I think it's an interesting conversation to be had. For me, Jared, I think it's an opportunity for people who maybe have SEC fatigue to kind of take some shots, and you get it, you roll with it. But what's kind of your vantage point on, the SEC having so many teams reach the postseason and then not as many, I guess, as they thought would continue on?
So I would look at it this way. This is how I look at it. I think it's funny when people try to take those shots because it's not real in terms of just think of it this way. Vanderbilt won the league, correct? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Vanderbilt won the league tournament, right? Texas won the league, correct? Think of it this way. Last year, I think people that truly follow SEC ball and or college ball knows that there was 4 SEC teams in the College World Series and 4 ACC teams in the College World Series, right? This year, there is a chance that there will be 3 SEC teams in the College World Series. Is that really that much of a difference? No.
Yeah.
The SEC's won the last 5 straight national championships. If they win another one and if only one team gets there, is that much of a difference? Will anybody remember that? No. So at the end of the day, it's 5 straight championships. The 2 teams that we saw basically win the regular season and the tournament and be number 1 seed and another national seed, they got bounced, but you still got 4 teams in the super regionals, and it just so happens that one is going to eliminate the other one. So we know for sure one SEC team is going to be in the College World Series. If you mess around and go get another SEC College World Series, is anybody going to what is there to say then? It's still overrated? Pretty obviously not, because the 2 top teams that were in the league all year, they got bounced, and then other teams would go on and probably win the league. So, like, I don't think that it's that at all, man. Like, the league is what it is. You see it. Go look at what happens in the draft. It's the same way in football. It's turning that way into basketball. It's no lies.
Mm-hmm.
The proof is in the pudding.
I go back to what Rob Vaughn said in Hoover when they got bounced, and he talked about, he was one of those coaches outside of the conference for Alabama that had talked about, they talk a lot. Coaches get on that podium and say certain things, and then he finds himself a couple years later saying, "No, yeah, they're right. they're for real eating that crow."
It's real.
It's real. As they head into West Virginia, man, what are some of the matchups that you like for LSU? I've looked at it a little bit. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
Kind of what should LSU fans expect out of the Mountaineers as they make the trip to Baton Rouge?
It's a gritty bunch, man. If people remember, if LSU somehow makes it their way out of Chapel Hill last year, that same bunch was coming down to Baton Rouge last year, right? So this is the matchup that we were hoping we were possibly going to get, and obviously the season didn't go, and it didn't end the way that LSU wanted to. Mm-hmm. This is a team that, for all intents and purposes, they went further than LSU last year, right? This is a team that's a gritty bunch. They went down to Clemson in that regional and kind of dominated it. Kentucky got up on them big, and you would imagine that, like, if a team's not good, they're gonna fold, and they'll just play the next game there. I think at one point it was 12-7 pretty late in the game in like the 7th or 8th. And they came back and won that game. So you obviously know it's a tough bunch. They're tough-minded. They got a good, scrappy group of experienced hitters. They hit a ton of doubles. And I don't know, I think I've heard whispers of it before that they have a big home field. So that may be why there's a ton of doubles and not as much home run production. But they hit a ton of doubles. They are a good hitting ball club. But even on the other side, like when you look at their arms, man, they got arms that just compete, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, and it's funny, like my wife is originally from West Virginia. Her dad's side of the family is all living in Bridgeport, West Virginia, which is 30 minutes outside of Morgantown. And trust me, I know it because every time we go up there, they're like, "Hey, let's go visit the campus." I'm like, all right, bro, whatever, let's do it. So I know it. What I'm trying to tell you is that like it's like a coal mining city. That's like what it was built on. It is a whole bunch of tough kids. Now, obviously, they're not all from there, but you take on that persona when you come there because you understand that's what it is. I think they're going to embrace the opportunity to come to Baton Rouge because I think they see it as something like we get to announce ourselves. Now, not being in Baton Rouge, there is a different level of this of Alex Box that kicks up that, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say from top to bottom on their roster it's going to rattle them, but it's something different. And it takes a little bit getting used to because you haven't been there. So I expect them to come here ready to play. It is up to LSU, the players, the fans, the atmosphere to kind of give them something that they've never really seen before. True. And that's what I think you're going to get this weekend.
This might be an oversimplification, but I've heard some local media talk about this week and, you know, have done 1 or 2 radio appearances, and this question's been posed to me. It's not a knock against West Virginia. I mean, you look at some of the numbers, like you said, they're a scrappy bunch. I like what you talk about. It's like a blue-collar mentality, really, of what they have up there. Is it really as simple as you feel like LSU has the talent advantage, and especially with the 2 guys that they're going to throw games 1 and game 2? Does it just come down to execution? Is that an oversimplification of this, where if LSU goes out and executes and plays the way they should play, then they could win this thing in 2 or win comfortably, I guess, somehow in 3?
Yeah, they could. But I mean, like, if it just comes down to execution, now let's think of the sample size that we're talking about execution. If I'm a starting pitcher, I'm hoping to get somewhere near 100 pitches at least, right? That means there's a lot of opportunity for me to not execute. The same thing goes up and down the lineup. Like, it's execution. It does come down to LSU has the better roster. But it's not always what physically happens. What between the years, what goes on between the years matters a lot. And like I think about Ethan Fry, right? Like that bases loaded double. For me, it's not so much just a bases loaded double. For me, it was the opportunity and the ability to slow himself down, for him to like continue to let the ball travel and not let the moment get too big and not try to do too much, and to be able to hit that double where he hit it, how he hit it. That is so impressive because that is so hard for people to execute in that situation because they want to do so much. So yeah, like it will come down to execution, but execution doesn't matter who's more talented and who's not. Right. And I think that's what people have to understand.
Yeah. I mean, Little Rock executed very well in situational baseball over the past 2 days. Lineup wise, Jay obviously made some changes. He talked about it. You know, they're obviously very well thought out. He's not going to do anything on a whim. I know he probably talked a little bit about this with you guys, but could we see something similar rolling into this weekend? Does it revert back to its original status? What would you do, I guess, if you were Jay Johnson, you were constructing this lineup for this weekend?
I think you could see something similar. I'm really actually, because of the home run that Barry hit, and it's not just because of the production of it. I think Jay kind of saw it coming, kind of felt it coming, because the work has to happen before you actually play the game. But the actual success of that and what it can do, once again, between the ears for someone, you wonder, like, okay, let's just see if he puts him back in the 2-hole. So, like, I think it could happen. What I would possibly do, not possibly, what I would do in this situation, because I've been yelling this forever, I think you put Jared Jones back in the 2-hole. I think you put Dickinson right behind him if you want to keep him there. That's fine. And then you go Fry, and then you go Hernandez. I've been yelling Hernandez in the middle of the lineup all year. That's just my God honest opinion. Like when I look back, especially at those last couple teams that have won championships, even like the last 2 years, The middle of the lineup usually has guys that look like that. And when
Yeah.
they start producing, and we've always known, like we've known that Luis can swing it. I think a lot
Yeah.
of what I guess not the same production, if you want to call it that. I think a good bit of that is him catching for an entire year. He didn't
Yeah.
catch last year, and that stuff takes a toll on your legs. It's something to get used to, and I think it's taken him a while to kind of get used to that kind of stuff. So I think when you get guys like that starting to swing the bat like that, like they have to be in the middle of your lineup because it's going to help someone like Bear Jones in that situation. Not only will it help someone like that, it's just when you're going through a lineup as a pitcher, it's a daunting task to understand that any one of these dudes like legitimately may leave. And it doesn't take them to actually square the ball up and give their best swing. They have enough power to leave on any swing. And I think that plays a big role in how guys execute on the mound because they want to be so fine. They want to be so perfect. And that in itself turns regular at bats into stressful at bats for a pitcher, which people don't understand the toll that takes in terms of, hey, I got bases loaded, nobody out, and I'm just able to pitch. No, okay, that's different when the lineup looks like that and it's stacked the way it is, because now I feel like I truly have to execute every single pitch. That becomes stressful for a pitcher, especially in tight ball games. So I do think like that matters a ton. If I were to do it, that's how I would have it set up. I think those two guys, Ethan Fry and Luis Hernandez, has to hit somewhere between that 2 and that 6 role. They don't have to be back to back, but they have to be in that area.
When you get down to the bottom part of the lineup, I have been, I guess, standing on the table all year about how valuable Chris Stanfield has been, and maybe we don't even, as the media and as for LSU fans, don't even really value it as much, but he's been very valuable in that spot. When you look at the bottom part of that lineup, Braswell's struggling a little bit. Jake Brown obviously figures into some of the plans there. I mean, what do you need to see to make this lineup what I think LSU fans know it can be? We've seen flashes and glimpses. What needs to happen down there?
So that 9-hole spot it's a special spot. I truly think like guys like Stanfield, when they show the ability and don't have an ego about hitting in that spot, and they're able to go down there and produce for you, it is such an advantage. And you got to understand, like a lot of people are not able to do that. And I don't think that spot's for everyone. But when you're able to get someone that can go down there and produce, and obviously he gives you what he gives you defensively, and he has the speed aspect of what he does, it is such an advantage. And I think that's what people lose because they want to say this person or that person may be a better hitter. Yeah, maybe. That doesn't matter though, because look at what he's producing and look at what he's giving you from that spot. And I take it back to like we're watching an Auburn team that's in a super regional where a lot of those same dudes were on that Auburn team last year. Do you know that Chris Stanfield led that Auburn team with the most amount of multi-hit games last year? Yeah. So like to sit here and say that he can't hit or that we got better hitters or however you want to look at it, well, he's done it for 2 years on 2 different teams. That Auburn team's got a guy that's going to be a first rounder this year. He was on that team last year, and he had a damn good year. Yeah. So for people to not understand that, like what he's doing has been awesome for this lineup. I love that he can take on that role in that spot, not care about wanting to go here and there, and just literally showing up and doing the job every day. I love a guy like that that'll do that in that spot because it's rare. You don't find that much.
He's been a catalyst and got that first home run, which was kind of funny to watch.
Jay's shown the want, and I think that's another big thing. Jay's shown the want to have Curiel and Derek in the 2-hole. So if that's going to be the case, if I want contact here and I want my power guy here, then where else would you be able to put someone like Stanfield? The way he profiles out, the way he plays the game, he's not a middle of the order run producer. He's a top of the order guy. But if Jay's going to put the lineup the way he does, then it makes a lot of sense to have him at 9 because he's going to turn it over to put possibly 2 guys on in front of Bear. So like that's what people have to understand as well.
LSU West Virginia this weekend. The box is going to be rocking, and obviously Jared and the rest of the crew over at Mic'd Up, and obviously SEC Network is going to have great coverage. Jared, where can LSU fans, because I know they're always interested, kind of check out what you guys are doing?
You can check us out. We're pretty much on every streaming app. Mic'd Up. Find us. It's pretty MIKUP. Find us. It's we like to have a good time.
And then obviously, man, you got some. You're going on the. You have fun with that, and you have fun with the SC Network. What's the coverage this weekend look like?
We will be doing post game shows throughout the weekend, covering all of the games that happened throughout the weekend. So I don't know who will be on our air or if we will even have a game that's on the air, but we'll do a post game show that follows the last game of the night, and it'll kind of run through the night and into the next morning and until the news cycle kind of goes out, and then boom, there you go.
Ooh, gotta love TV. There we go. Jared Mitchell, appreciate you hopping on, man. Talk a little LSU baseball with us, and hey, maybe we get to talk a little bit more after this
Yeah.
weekend
Yes,
about
sir.
LSU there as well.
Yes,
We
sir.
appreciate everyone tuning in. Check us out on all those platforms as well, like he mentioned, on all those digital platforms, audio
Yeah.
platforms as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and check out Mic'd Up there as well. And thanks so much for listening and watching the Go 24/7 podcast.